Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR531. It's NXT Great American Bash. I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by a resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod. It is Monty. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's going great. Going great. You said 531, right? That's what episode we're on.
Yeah.
That's insane, man. I was just looking at something the other day, and I don't know if it was one of my first episodes, but I think it was like my first NXT UK episode. I think it was like 333 or something. So just, whew.
You know, your first show, I think, was 311. So that's like,
Yeah. So,
over 200 now.
god damn, man. But yeah, happy to be back as we continue to pack on the episodes. Like I've been here for over 200, so we'll see if I can make it to 1,000.
We'll see what happens, man. Not without doubt. We've got a lot to catch up on. Like we said, we're going to do 6 NXTs and, of course, No Mercy predictions later on. But there was actually something added worthwhile to the network, Monty. Now, back in the day, we used to do the WWE Network Review, and then Peacock came along, and fucking nothing happened. And all these documentaries in America and everything else. But we did get a W24 for about the first time in 4 years. And it was Damien Priest. We did mention it with the girls, but I just wanted to talk about it again because I don't get a lot of this stuff, like you say. And it was an hour of just enjoyment and what the network used to be. Because, of course, the network will be gone by the end of the year. And yet the WNR will still be here strong. But what are your thoughts on the Damien Priest? Because, again, it was just great.
Take you back for a second. I think WrestleMania 30 was like when it debuted. I think I subscribed like that. Then like that's about a decade ago itself. So man, just think about that. So yeah, it's insane. We just talking about Bryan Danielson. So if I remember to check out his moment was like the first time you had to subscribe to the WWE Network to watch a big pay-per-view or whatever. So yeah, it's come and gone. The show is still here, but yeah, man, the Damien Priest WWE24 to me, I'm happy you guys got a chance to see it. I don't know why. I don't know what the difference was with this one, why this one was uploaded and the other ones couldn't be. But yeah, man, this is really cool, man. It just gave you a lot of insight. Like I said, I knew him as Punishment Martinez when he was in the Indies. I kind of knew of him, but I did not know any of the personal information and the what he was going through. So to kind of get that lens, it was always, like you said, it's one of those great things about the network. We almost started to learn way too much about some of these wrestlers, but it was cool. You know, it's one of those things that I think we're kind of missing out on. Like every now and then we get it. It's usually like a guy like Cody who's returning, or a guy, some of the older guy. Like I already know they haven't said anything, but when Netflix comes or whatever, probably going to be a Punk doc or something. Like I can already see another Punk doc, even though he's they had DVDs and stuff in the past. So this is just of that ilk, and like you said, it's just really cool to get that insight into kind of not only get to know the person but beyond the character, but it kind of gives you a lens into what makes him a strong baby face too, because the timing of it was great. Also, the timing of the release and the timing of where he's at as a character too, and like you said, to think about some of those, think about like again the history of me and you being on this show together. We got a chance to see a lot of those great moments in NXT that they kind of talked about for a little bit too. So yeah, it was a really really good show, and I don't know, I just can't wait for them to start doing. If they will, I don't know. If because they're going to WWE, just because Peacock and WWE Network is done, I don't know if they're done doing their own original content. But the content like that is always welcome, if you ask me. So yeah, I even try. I don't have the channel, but I even try to seek out the A&E biographies on certain legends, because those are done really well. So yeah, man, I love content like that.
Well, without doubt, and like you said, it's something that is missing a little bit. The network had it a lot, where of these documentaries that come along to, maybe people aren't, like you said, long-term fans like we are, who've seen kind of Priest's WWE main roster career, weirdly enough. But again, like you said, I remember even as a kid that with DVDs and the documentaries like the rise and fall of ECW, the CM Punk documentary. Do you know what I mean? Like, so well put together.
Right.
And I think something on about the bloodline, or, you know, Roman Reigns' journey, like you said, there's just so many different things there. But Damon Priest is, again, another guy you just watch it and go, yeah, he's cool. And we spoke about it, about kind of whatever overweight wrestlers are out there, when you become motivated, you know, and Priest wasn't going to be denied, and it's just great stuff. But let's get to the update then, because we've got a lot of episodes, and we start July 16th, the Rascals versus Gallus. And I'll tell you what, this TNA and NXT relationship, for any NXT fans that might have not seen Impact, I think the Rascals show that the talent there is as good as kind of anywhere. Would that be fair, Monty? Because I know the Rascals beat Gallus, but again, it's a showcase for everybody that might not know.
Yeah, and as we kind of talk about it, I've been, as the time has went on, I've started to see a trickling of you know, some type of negativity coming out of the partnership, because you know exactly like we talk about all the time. We've been fans a long time, so anytime you get two promotions working together, somebody is always either mad that their promotion is not favored, or here goes the big WWE guy already doing this and that. But I think from a showcase perspective, and like you said, just from the perspective of, yeah, these guys are just as good as anybody in the world. Like, I don't care what anyone says, the Rascals, when, you know, as a trio, and even when they were split, even when they're duos, but because we remember MSK, but like even as duos, when it's just Trey Miguel and Zach, or but like to see them all together hitting on all cylinders and kind of doing their thing, you really start to realize that no, these guys are like some of the best in the world, and they can, like you said, TNA has the talent that can stack up in the ring with pretty much anybody around the world, no matter what. It's just it's at a smaller stage, but that doesn't really change the talent. And I think at the end of the day, for people who may have just lost touch with TNA or may not care much about it, I do think the casuals are going to become fans of these people. They're not just going to, you know, I have seen some people who just can't wait for Jordynne Grace to maybe sign to WWE, but I also know it's going to be some people that, like, you know what, I like Jordynne Grace, I'm going to watch whatever she does. And she's been doing a lot, just popping up everywhere. So I think the same thing can be done for a lot of these Impact talents.
Yeah, I think we're out, and we are seeing a lot more. Well, the messages that I'm seeing as well, a lot of people are checking out TNA because of it. So I think it's still working. You know, we're going to see a lot of talent involved here. And Booker T, you know, even though he told Vic Joseph not to, he said Joe Hendry, and he appeared on commentary. I just want Booker and Joe to get along, but I think that's a working process. We see Gallus complaining about Hendry, and then we move on to see Ethan Page confronting Ava about Ora Mensah, who arrived to ask for an NXT title match. Instead, All Ego announced he would defend his title against Dante Chen. Roxanne Perez promised to break the record books, eclipsing Charlotte Flair, Bayley, and more. Perez openly mocked the internet rumours of Julia and Vacuole coming to the NXT Championship. We see Kalani Jordan also mentioned Julia and Stephanie when she was interviewed about her next challenges. Now, Monty, the question is, because it's still not happened, have they waited too long? Or, again, because I think tonight there's the feeling in the air, but they've been spoken about now, and this is 6 weeks ago, or 7 weeks even now. So, you know, it's been a build.
Yeah, I don't think it's been too long. Mostly, maybe too long for maybe like casuals who don't really know who these people are. It could have been out of sight, out of mind by now for people who just watch NXT and don't know who Julia or even Stephanie, who they also have mentioned online and stuff too, are. But I feel like for people who are in the know, the anticipation has been building, and I think at the end of the day, talking about someone 6 or 7 weeks before they even show up on screen, and maybe even longer than that, I think that just shows you right there that whoever is coming is supposed to create a shift in the women's, or just not even in the women's division, just in NXT in general. Because if I say the women's division, then I'm kind of not doing it in the circle. At this point, that's the focus of NXT. I think I mentioned. I think me and you were joking about a couple of NXT pods ago about how Sean has been focusing on the women's division, and I like that. But I think at this point, and we can talk about it as we continue to go on, that has been the main focus, and we can talk about whether that's a good thing or bad thing. I think it's a little bit of both, but I also love it because, again, it's women's wrestling, and I think talking about a character and just mentioning the name and just already putting them in that in people's minds, whether they know about who Julia is or not. I don't think it's taking too long because most of all, I'm pretty much familiar with what Julia's been doing. She not only was she hurt, but she also, it could have been sooner, but she hurt herself, and she's been working in Japan in the Marigold promotion. And I think the same. And as far as Stephanie goes, it's like visa issues is what people are trying to say, which she was having those issues anyway for a while. As far as like working in the States. So as soon as they get that stuff worked out, I'm pretty sure we could have saw them sooner. That might be why you got the name mentioned a little bit sooner. But to be honest, I don't think it's hurting because the longer the wait is, the more we're like, okay, well, whoever shows up, it has to be a big deal. And I think whichever one comes first is going to make an impact because, like you said, you can't really talk about somebody that no one's seen yet, and then they just do nothing. They just show up and just, you know what I mean? Like that'll be the worst part of it.
And also, not only that, but how many times we complained about the level of challenges to Roxanne? I mean, we got Thea Hale, who came out and, put in a Kimura because she called her a kid. But again, a legitimate threat. And like I said, these women coming in are definitely going to be that,
Exactly.
And we get Javon Evans versus Brooks Jensen. Jensen got distracted by Josh Briggs, confronting Sean Spears at ringside, allowing John Evans to dive on him. Young OG followed up with a springboard cut for the victory. Afterwards, Jensen stomped Evans in the mat until Briggs pulled him away. Josh Briggs was away from NXT to work the N1 victory tournament in Noah alongside Tavian Heights.
Yeah.
I've seen a few clips of Tavian Heights. My God. But I hear a lot of good stuff coming out of that as well.
Yeah, I think he's the one you're going to have to watch. And not to say that Briggs isn't, he hasn't been making as much noise, but I don't want to say he's been bad. From what I've seen from him, he's just been kind of like what you would expect from a big guy. Meanwhile, Tavian Heights has, not to, of course, with his a pun on his name, but he's just taking not only the hype around his career, but his talent has just went to new heights. I mean, I think I saw flashes of this. I think he was in the breakout in the tournament, so you saw a little bit of it in the few appearances he's had in the ring. But the stuff he's been doing in Japan, now I was thinking this is another thing we've been talking about, and I still stand on this that Obafemi probably should just win every belt that he could possibly win. Like at this point, but I think if protected or if booked in the right environment in NXT, Tavian Heights can be that guy who can be the opposite, or be the guy who could possibly dethrone Obafemi from that top spot one day. I don't know. I could be presuming, but I'm just saying that's the potential I see with the, just the strength that he has, the explosiveness. It's unbelievable. The thing that has really done him a great service in Noah is that he's legit. You know what I mean? Like I think people over there, not only are the people in Japan they got behind him within like 2 to 3 matches in the N1. It's just the fact that he's just throwing guys around effortlessly. And it's just like the thing is about amateur wrestling, if you know, like Kurt Angle, Kurt didn't seem like the biggest guy back in the day, but everybody will tell you backstage, Kurt could beat down any of those guys legitimately if he wanted to because of that shoot Olympian style, like freestyle wrestling style. And Tavian Heights has that element to him. So I think I'm very hyped based on the work I've seen. And the fact that he just seemed to be so ingratiated in the culture, like learning from Marufuji, who we just talked about not too long ago, had a great encounter with AJ Styles, a legend over there in Noah and in Japan. Learning from those guys, working with Kaito, having a great match with Kaito, by the way, the one who ended up winning the N1. So, and the world champion, by the way. So he world champion and he won the tournament. But anyway, Tavian Heights really upped his stock in a lot of fans' mind, especially people who are hardcore into the Japanese scene. And I think that can only bode well for him in NXT. Now they're just going to have to possibly get him maybe some character work. I think that's the only thing you got to add to that. Because in the ring, if you can hang with guys like like we talked about, if you can hang with that style in Japan, I definitely know you can impress in NXT.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And it'll be interesting to see what they do when they get back, even though they're not written off TV just yet. Whilst we do the update. Anyway, we'll get to that. In an interview, Vice promised to get another shot at the NXT Women's Championship. Jane Henley and Nick Moxer setting up a match. Charlie Dempsey asked Tony D get help dealing with a witness, but the Don told him he needs to deal with it himself. Later, the witness, Vince Sinclair, asked to join No Quarter Catch Crew. And it's weird because the relationship between Tony D and Charlie Dempsey is a little bit like Trick Williams' relationship with Leah Dragunov, where you wouldn't think they would be friends, but they called each other dinner with problems. And Trick spoke to Leah and Pete Dunne, and let's be blunt about it, it was nicer. But again, it's still nice to see Trick with those relationships. And Charlie, I mean, my God, what's he getting himself into?
Yeah, man, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. I can't wait to see how as things develop in regards to that. I think Charlie, like you said, it's funny to see him in these situations. But I think at this point they're trying it. They're just trying different things. Like the thing is about Regal. Regal was a shoot tough and just absolutely great in the ring, great technical. But what people sometimes forget about Regal, and I think what maybe you guys know, especially over there, is that Regal was great character wise too. He could be serious, he could be funny, he could, you know what I mean. He had great time, and I think some of this is just trying to test and see what Charlie Dempsey. How does he can he sink and swim? He's not just a guy who can just go out there and stretch you out. Like as great as that is, we know how WWE is. They don't really like guys who can only do in ring stuff. So like I kind of mentioned with Tavian, they're testing and they're trying to put him in these situations that to me and you seem maybe ridiculous for somebody that we like Dempsey. But I think to be fair, him and especially the stuff with Ren is kind of it's kind of growing on me.
Ren's all right. Yeah,
yeah,
I will admit that. But again, we're only a month away from him drinking piss from a teapot. So again,
exactly. So you have to be careful. I agree. You don't want to get to the point where no one takes you seriously. But
dress up as Doink or something like that. But again,
right.
We'll get that. NXT Championship, all ego from Page versus Dante Chen. He walked into the match confident, only to find a game. Dante challenged him from the opening bell. Page finally got serious and wipes him out with Ego's edge. All events to struck after the finish, taking a DT from Page and come back with pure aggression. He laid Page out with spinning heel kick, got a symbolic 3 count in the ring. So Aura is the unofficial NXT champ. But again, I love Aura's progression. But Ethan now showing what he can do with NXT champion and working with different levels.
Yeah, right. I agree. And, it's kind of cool to kind of see even a Dante Chen, even though it wasn't that long, to see him in that situation and to also kind of get the Oro story continued because, like me and you are big fans of Oro, man. And I think the potential is there. And I think Ethan has done a good job of kind of being that cowardly, overconfident type of heel, but, still being credible enough as a champion, to where things, he doesn't feel that far off. But, yeah, man, this is fine. I don't have a problem with it. And I think, honestly, like you mentioned, working with different spots of talent, maybe people who you may look at as supposed to be on the front of the card, at the top of the card instead of at the bottom. I still think, as NXT champion, he's doing a respectable job at this point.
Yeah, without a doubt. We get Izzy Dane versus Tatum Paxley. Paxley targeted the taped up right arm, connected with Psycho Trap. After this, Chu gave Paxley a doll back and smiled. Kalani Jordan ran to Paxley backstage, told her they were both too old to play with dolls, and Paxley pulled out a new doll to symbolise Jordan as her next target. Great. So Alexander tried to get Shante Lee Adonis focused, but he's more focused on Jacoa Jackson. Metaphor shut him down from that moment on. Lola Vice beat JC Jane. Afterwards, Henley and Nix attacked Vice. So Ruka and Carl Petris made a save. The OC beat OTM. This is the definition of 50-50 booking. And then the main event, North American Championship, Oberfemi versus Duke Hudson. Femi walked in confident, as always, but Duke made him desperate. North American Champ planted him on the announce table outside, followed by a pop-up powerbomb to win. Again, I was watching this before we did the previous update, which was the previous one before this one. So, again, I might be getting bit confused, but Obafemi and Duke, still two big men going at it. It's good stuff.
Yeah, a great TV, title match, title defense, and I think that was the element I liked the most about it. As much as we watch Obafemi, he's going to be towering over most of his opponents. So to see him kind of still showcase that strength and still have a really competitive match with a guy like Duke, who's who does not give up as much as maybe a Wesley does in size. I think it was really cool to still, be into it. And Duke, like you said, made him sweat a little bit and actually had the crowd into it, possibly thinking this would be Duke's time. But again, I think we all knew in the back of our mind Over would be a little too much, and he was. And I love it. It was a different pace match too. It didn't feel as it was like slower, but it made all the high impact stuff that they were doing more impactful in my opinion. So it really worked out. I really think this is a good main event, and the more experience Obafemi gets, the more defenses, the more TV time he gets. You can just see he's one of those guys who's going to improve every week.
Yeah, without doubt. And again, Chase U seems to be the home team of NXT. What they're involved in, the crowd always seems to go crazy. Move on to the next episode, July 23rd. Trick Williams called out All Ego Ethan Page instead. Cedric Alexander warned him to avoid a mistake. Ashante Lee Adonis interrupted Alexander he was wasting his time. Trick told Alexander he was better than him, which frustrated Alexander to agree to a match, followed by Trick sending Adonis to the floor. And then we see Tori Igwe and Tyson DuPont make fun of All Ego from Page on his way to the arena. Champion said he did not have time for him. Page told Miss Stone Steve Turner he wanted to deal with his aura Mensa program. And then we get the no disqualification match, Josh Briggs versus Brooks Jensen. Jensen attacking Briggs on his way to the ring, and the big man made him pay. However, distraction from Sean Spears allowed Jensen to batter Briggs with a steel chair, followed by a DDT on the chair for the win. The back of Josh was a mess, but I will say this, Monty, credit where it's due, these two did battle each other.
I'm gonna be honest with you. These two are way more compelling here as opponents than they were to me ever really as a team. Not that they, and I know sometimes that worry just kind of works out that way. But yeah, man, this was really, like you said, solid stuff. I know me and you both have had things to say about Briggs and Jensen, but to be, like you said, to be fair, this was the best that they've looked, and it's one of those things that really make you wonder, like, well, did the entire time they were a team, they probably would have been better off as like blood rivals throughout these years or so. Because again, this was really good stuff, and I came away impressed with Jensen for like the first time in a long time. So I can't complain.
Oh, sorry, talking on mute then. Yeah, like I said, I mean, it pains me to say it, but yeah, credit to Brooks Jensen there. Eddie Fort versus Lexis King. King kept calling for the coronation, but Eddie Fort and hit Manifest Destiny to win. After the result, King attacked form and smashed his fingers between steel steps for his cane. 2 5-year vets clashed after a month of build. Result was a 2-minute bout.
Do they care about Lexis King? Like literally, really? Like, do they even? I mean, Eddie, maybe they just don't know what to do with him. But like the same thing gets to be said for Lexus, because just like we said, we know he's the neighborhood like irritant and bad guy, but it's way more interesting bad guys popping up in NXT too. So it's just like, what do you think? Do you care about what Lexus King
Well, no,
does?
I care about him, but I think that WWE I think we can get shinier toys. So again, I don't know if it's a case of like
weird, man. Like, think about what Ethan has done already. Like, that's what I mean, kind of. Like,
unless
as
like
a heel,
he's just terrible in 5-minute matches, or like he can only go 2. Like he is.
That's tough.
Like, Aura Mensa versus Shante Lee Adonis. Adonis was too focused on Jackson at ringside, allowing Mensa to make quick work of him with a corner spinning heel kick to win. Afterwards, he called out All Ego to no answer to get the crowd's chant 1, 2, 3. Remembers him pinning the NXT champion the previous week. Backstage, Adonis convinced a few NXT women to help him get to the trainer's room. I mean, so is that his gimmick? So Adonis, what we've seen,
for screw the wrestling, his gimmick is thirsty man. I think they read what everybody been saying on the internet about how beautiful the women are, in NXT, and I think Ashanti is trying to use that kind of angle to get over. Is that yeah, I'm really into these ladies here, and I get a chuckle out of it. I just don't know how long you can go unless we're gonna parlay this into like a ladies man gimmick, but I doubt that. So we'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much what he has going for him right now. Is
Well,
win or lose, I'm going to flirt.
if they want a man who's desperate for a woman, just put me on the show. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right? It's like there's plenty of fans who fit that criteria.
Yeah. Ren Sinclair with no court catch crew versus Carly Bright. Sinclair warned them she might talk if she lost to Bright. The family enjoyed the drama. Charlie Dempsey saved Ren from a near pinfall and helped her hold down Bright for a 3 count. Like you said, it's different things from the two, isn't it? So again, it has been working at the moment. Thea Hale sat down with Kenny Kincaid to tell everyone she's grown up since her last title opportunity. She was put over Ridge Holland as a great friend. Hale's become very confident promo, selling her credentials, there's no doubt. In the locker room, the Bruiserweight question as Trick was ready to gain the NXT Championship. Trick did beat Cedric, and afterwards Pete Dunne blasted the former NXT champion from behind and stomped him into the mat. And it always worries me because you go like, Pete Dunne's in a feud with Sheamus, but he's in NXT as well. It's like, it doesn't look good, you know? I mean, again, maybe exposure, but endgame, no.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. I hate to say this, I think from your perspective, from like Bruiserweight and one of the greatest NXT UK wrestlers of all time, and just Pete Dunne and where you want to see him, it's kind of bummy. But at the same time, I'm speaking like from a perspective of somebody who love Meechin or love Mia Yim. I'm loving the fact that she's getting booked like she could be like some of the other people who just nowhere. Like so, even though I pretty much know the end result is Mia Yim is probably not going to win, I'm happy to see her. And I think with Pete Dunne, it's one of those situations where it's like I doubt he's going to be the guy, but it is good to see Pete being used and working. And like you said, it's one of those double-edged things because on one hand, happy to see him, love you. On the other hand, don't love the fact that I gotta kind of beg for you to be seen.
Yeah, exactly. But again, still good to see him. Trick yelled at Shawn Michaels to get him a match with Dunne. Prez then ran down Shawn Michaels for giving Hale a sit-down interview. Backstage, Ruka, Petrovic and Vice talked about the future of the women's division. Watching Stephanie Vacca's W House Show debut, Legend Jakara interrupted when they started talking about the Women's Tag Team Championships. Ha! Remember them. Metaphor, Lash Legend, Jakara Jackson beat Sarah Ruka and Carmen Petrovic after they challenged Alba Fire and Dawn for the titles of the Great American Bash. All ego for Page brought referee out to the ring to put all the questions to rest about Orr Benson's 3 count against him last week. Instead, Benson stacked him up and the referee counted another 3 against the NXT champion, and they've agreed for an NXT title match at the Bash. And I don't know about you, Monty, but this just felt like early 90s Raw shenanigans. And I really liked it, don't get me wrong, but it just felt a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but don't you see like the parallels in like the old 1-2-3 Kid type of Oro in like a kid role or X-Pac role with Ethan Page. He does do the Ego's Edge, kind of like in the Sky Hall role. Like that's what it kind of reminds me of. Like the entire gimmick and the entire thing, even with the crowd doing 1-2-3 and taunting Ethan about being pinned, like all of it is giving me like you said, those early Raw vibes. So yeah, that's definitely where this kind of has been kind of going back to. And again, once again, Shawn Michaels going to the greatest hits and just kind of building inspiration from there. And sometimes you forget, like we have so many things. I'm not trying to tell anyone how to book. It's not my job. I'm not gonna act like I know what the hell the best way to do it. But a lot of times, the simplest form. Sometimes you can just borrow from some of the best things that we've seen, put a little newer twist on it, and here we go. So yeah, I think that's kind of like what the inspiration is. It feels really 1-2-3 Kid Razor Ramones.
We're also going to get a concert next week from Joe Hendry. He has promised. The Rascals versus Nathan Fraser, Axum, and Javon Evans. The Rascals set the pace for this main event, and it never slowed. Even the fastest trio in NXT could not keep up. Joe Miguel super Axum to set up Zachary Wentz with an assist from Wesley to pick up the pinfall off a hot fire flame. This was my Worlds Colliding. I dedicated 4 years in NXT UK. My first full year of Impact was 2021, and see these two teams going at it was just a pleasure. It was fantastic, Monty.
Yeah, I think honestly this might be the first time I saw Meltzer give like an NXT match something like over 4.5 or like 4 stars. Like about time he actually pays attention. Look what has to happen. But this is awesome, man. Like you said, just you can't you again. Kudos to everyone. This is one of them matches where you look on the card, you pretty much know it's gonna be fantastic. But then when you watch it, you just like, well, damn, they even exceeded what I thought they would do. Because like again, when if you know about the Rascals, you know the styles just mesh perfectly between Fracture, and then you throw in a Javon in there, who's absolutely just a athletic marvel at this point. Just does things that's just incredible, and you just put them all in the ring. And honestly, I can run this back. It may get forgotten because it's just on a regular episode of NXT, but this can stack up with some of the best matches all year, if you ask me. If you just take it for what it is, and maybe of course if you have bigger stakes, it could be even bigger or even better. But even for just what it was, it's one of the best matches I've seen this year.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. We move on July 30th, night one of Great American Bash. The show started with Hank and Tank infiltrating the WWE Performance Center to prepare for hosting Great American Bash. Great idea, send those two fuckwits. Women's Tag Team Championships, Unholy Union versus Metaphor. Unholy Union got a welcome back chant for their entrance, and Lash Legends' power was on full display in this match, but Dawn of Fire were just too smart to lose. They isolated Jackson for the evil touch to seal the victory. After the match, Ethan Page taunted Mensa, but on site caught with a roll-up. Legend and Jackson count three, much to Page's frustration. But again, Metaphor, without Dar, obviously, but still showing what they can do, and they are slowly growing, you know?
Yeah, they really are. And I think this whole kind of phase where I'm really interested because as much as I love Noam Dar, I just don't know if he's going to be cool with kind of being not necessarily not rule breaking, because I wouldn't say that Metaphor has changed that much, but at the same time, they're definitely not heels now. So it'll be interesting to see how the dynamic switches when he returns, if it switches at all. But besides that, man, this is really, really good. I was really impressed with what the girls did in this one. Shakira has been really one of those people that I haven't been able to get. None of us have been able to really get a good sight of because of injuries and stuff like that. But I thought she did good in here. And I thought Lash Power, I mean, just unmatched. And of course, being in there with two pros like Isla and Alba, making those girls look even better. I really think this was a positive for both sides. It actually had me rooting for a title change just because, let's just be honest, as far as like, it's certain situations right now in like even certain teams that especially in the women's division, that just feels way more like a tag team than other teams. And I feel like even the Unholy Union, as much as I love them together, like Lash and Jakar make me mad that the NXT women's tag team titles are gone. Because I feel like that they could benefit at this point with so many women. It's just like, well, damn, like, why? I wish we kind of kept those around now because it made sense, I guess, to get rid of them at the time. Even though I kind of wish that didn't happen, but it's just now to me personally, I would love to see Bianca and Jade versus Jakira and Lash. Like, just seriously, it'll be cool to see them team up. It's the same way I felt whenever Casey and or what is her? Why do they change her name so many times? But anyway, Casey and Caden. Whenever Casey and Caden would team up, like whenever they go against another team, they always feel like a more legitimate team than some of the other two like individual teams that team up. So, but the women's tag division is always hit and miss. So, but this was a good little defense in my opinion, even though I don't think the Unholy Union will get much credit for it because it's on NXT.
Yeah, without a doubt. Hank and Tank interviewed Heights and Tony D in separate locker rooms, both promising victory in their match. And Tony D got the first fall in round 3. We'll forget about it. Ren Sinclair motivated Davian Heights to respond with a belly-to-belly suplex for the first fall in round 4. Dempsey, Bourne, and Sinclair argued outside, leaving Heights alone for round 5, where Don planted in with a high spinebuster to win. My biggest thing was, why is the Heritage Cup American now? And then I realised it was Great American Bash, and I backed down a little bit. But at that point, I was like, hang on a minute. In a pre-tape promo, Pete Dunne challenged Trick Williams next week. Trick accepted, obviously. Spears interrupted Alexander mentoring Performance Center talent. an argument between them, caused Jensen to challenge Alexander, with Cedric Alexander beating Brooks Jensen, and I take everything I said about Jensen back. That cunt can't wrestle. Do you know, it was just one good performance.
Yeah, like that's the worst thing about it. It's like I was just gaining something. I was gaining a little bit. I was actually gonna start paying attention more and like seeing like, all right, maybe Jensen had something. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe But again, with a guy like Cedric, it's like if you can't. I don't know, man. How again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Go to what is it, CZW, whatever it is, and
right, yeah. Do your thing. And maybe he fits in like the extreme style type of match. But if you can't have a good 5-minute match with Cedric, I mean that don't really bode well for you, man.
No. I'll tell you some good news, Monty, as well. I watch wrestling at work, and I've got one of the guys I work with into Joe Hendry. So much so that he believes, man. Like, he's going, oh, yeah, are you watching it? Is Joe Hendry on? And I've been saving it. So we've been watching, like, the live concerts and stuff like that. It's unbelievable, man. Like, Joe Hendry just, can just bring everybody together. He sang about how he makes NXT better while teasing Booker T and Shawn Michaels. Finally claimed Gallus got deported for having awful facial hair. When he prepared to sing his theme, Mark Coffey and Wolfgang interrupted, and they battered Hendry and hit him with his guitar. The thing that annoys me, like, Monty, please can you help? Yes, we knew it was going to. The crowd was allowed us for the night, we should say, booing Gallus, interrupting the concert. But people comparing him to Elias, just because of the guitar,
just because of the guitar,
sad fucking marks.
If that's the all right, then no. Why not say he's The Rock? if all you have to do is do the concert with a guitar, like compare it to The Rock too. If it's that simple, like no, some fans of. Some WWE fans really are. I'm not going to say uncultured, but that's kind of like how they act when it comes to wrestling. And it's just kind of funny when you think about it. Like, it's completely different gimmicks, completely different styles. And a lot of people may not know the origin, may not do the work to figure out like what Joe does. But yeah, man, no, I would just not pay attention to those people because they obviously haven't watched much wrestling other than, I guess, the last 5-10 years of WWE. But yeah, man, I don't see the resemblance at all, and I'm not going to say his name, but yeah.
No. But again, this is why I don't do like emails on the pod, because for like 9, we really enjoyed the show. It's that one that the guy goes, well, James sounded like a cunt. And again, I just can't help. And when it's like, you compare it to Elias would have been success if they'd have taken the ball with him, but they didn't. So,
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, out the building, Hendry called out Joe for a one-on-one match next week. John Evans talked about taking inspiration from Jeff Hardy and Rob Van Dam with his high-flying style. And I hate it. I hate it, Monty, because he's going, when I was like back in the day, he's looking at RVD and Jeff Hardy as I did with like Nick Bockwinkel. You know what I mean?
Nick Bockwinkel. Yeah. Bob Backlund.
Old guys, Bruno Sammartino, like.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, like I said, when I hear him speak, he reminds me of my little cousin, man. Like, I think that's one thing I like about him, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's just, as someone who's, as much as I joke at you about being old, I see it every day that I'm becoming grouchier and just way more resistant to a lot of stuff that maybe a few years back I probably would have cared more about. I definitely like as much as I love Javon, he's one of those. He's in that group of people who I even side eye. Like, if you're born after the year 2000, which is very funny to me because I'm only like 5 years older than that. But like, if you're born after the year 2000, I just kind of go somewhere else, man.
That's crazy. The Rascals,
but yeah, it's funny,
to NXT as well. Which again, if anybody doesn't know the Treehouse, they just sit around smoking weed. Which I didn't think we'd get in NXT, but I mean, fair play, They wanted to challenge Nathan Fraser and Axiom, who should have been in there blazing with them. I think that would have been the best one, And again, Fraser was uncertain that Axiom was focused this time. So, a little bit of play in between two of them. Jada Parker beat Kendall Gray. Tatum Paxley confronted Jordan, set up a North American Championship match next week. Wendy Chu smiled at Jordan creepily. Lola Visa, Ruka Petrovic versus Henley, Jane, and Nyx. And the Hills just looked more cohesive. Pele kick into a rolling forearm strike into a lifting cutter. Petrovic sealed it for the Hills. On to August 7th, Great American Bash Week 2. The show started with highlights of Week 1. Of course, with Hank and Tank again. And we started off hot with Trick Williams versus Pete Dunne. Bruce Wade pulled out the win after ducking the trick shot and hitting the bitter end. I mean, this was a welcome surprise. But again, people going, well, Trick's getting fucking buried now. Do you know what I mean? So we can't win.
You can't win. No, you can't win. You know how that is, man. You got to go. Trick has to be undefeated. It has to work out. Yeah, man, it's just a bump in the road, but it's a good one, And I think the more work he has with guys like Pete Dunne, I think the better he gets anyway. One, and then two, again, I don't think it was that big of a deal, at least, or like a bad thing. I do think it was shocking, and I don't always mind that in my wrestling. I think kind of like what I was saying when I talked about when Meechin shows up, we kind of all figure at this point she was going to lose. But not only was this a really good match, like to be fair, he got the best workout of Trick in a while in a one-on-one setting, if you ask me. Which is kind of funny to me that even with Melo, even with Melo, his chemistry wasn't always there. But with Pete and then Ilya Dragunov,
maybe it's just like, NXT UK talent,
right?
Like put him in with Jordan Devlin, like
right. He need these brutal, smaller, guys from the UK to beat him up, I guess, to really get you going. But this is a really good match, though. So I don't understand why people were disappointed. And then also it's just a great little underlying theme. I don't know if Pete said this on the run to this or after this, but he kind of shrugged his shoulders and was like, we the same age, but I got 19 years of experience, and like that's a great point or a great difference or in between the two that can kind of be like the reason why Pete Dunne was able to get the victory.
Yeah, I think we're out of town. I did miss out. Sorry, I scrolled too far. The main event for week 1 of
Roxanne.
Was Roxanne Perez versus Thea Hale. And again, Roxanne getting the win. But Thea showing her worth. And again, she's in a weird situation, isn't she? Because I don't know if she's ready for main roster, but Chase U seem to be around. Again, we've joked about
a long time,
but for like 8 years now. I don't know. I think they predate Gargano and Ciampa.
Chase U is a 2.0 deal, right? Like didn't the original kind of vignettes was part of the 2.0 era with Melo, and so yeah, a lot of the people from that era or from when they started this whole thing are gone now. So yeah, and they're still doing it. So at some point it's gonna have to come to a head. We see her turn on them, return, you know what I mean? So like, where do you really go with the hell? And I think honestly, I would have liked for her to get the moment. Maybe that's how she will graduate, or maybe she will be like. I mean, hell, we got people like, I know we haven't seen her do anything, but people like Kiana didn't win the title and was able to go up to the next level. So I don't know. I think are they going to keep Thea there legit 4 years, like college or something,
yeah.
like university?
Going.
Or something.
Everybody from 2.0 has to win a title.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm going to shove it back in everybody's face.
Like, right. Everybody from that era has to exactly do something, because like Tony D is still around. He's a 2.0 guy and all of that. But, again, we got it's just like some of it don't make a lot of sense because you got guys like Odyssey getting TV time on the main roster. And I don't mind it, but he's another 2.0 type of experiment thing. And then you have people like Thea who's been hustling a long time. Maybe it's an age thing. Maybe, like you said, they're just waiting. But she was really good in that match. And I think she is right there, honestly. I don't see – the thing is, the problem is, it's kind of like we were talking about with not really on the same level with Lexus, but when you got Julia, when you got Stephanie, when you got a couple of the other women that I'm hearing that they're possibly bringing in, Delta, Mozilla, and all that, it's just like – well, and either Thea's going to have to graduate soon or she's going to be one of the people getting beat up by some of the fresher faces. At least is what you would assume. So we'll see what happens. But this is a really good showing again for her, and I think in the ring she's ready. It's just like, what do you want her to go to the main roster as a character as? Will the spunky university thing work in a bigger setting? Could Chase U be over? Now, when they go to some of these big arenas, Chase U still gets a reaction. So that's something, but it's like, do you think that's something that could work on Raw and SmackDown?
Yeah, without doubt. Well, speaking of big reactions and people that don't get them, Mr. Stone and Stevie Turner at the Great American Bash Barbecue with Lola Vice sending BJ Ray through a table and the Good Brothers ruining the party. I mean, the Good Brothers, man, they deserve this booking. That's all I'm going to say. All right?
Yeah, leave it at that.
Made their money.
I wonder why Impact didn't ask them to come over and do a match for Impact. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Women's North American Championship, Kalani Jordan versus Tatum Paxley. Paxley wore down Kalani Jordan by focusing on injury in the left leg. The Women's North American Champ had to adjust for Spanish Fly and a Flog Splash to retain. I keep thinking Tatum is former NXT UK, maybe just because she's crazy. Do you know what I mean? I don't. She's not, but
you're not still confusing her for Lyra, are you?
Yeah.
No, but yeah, this was cool. Two girls who are still green. You can kind of see it, but they also are very athletic. Like they have, like again, NXT has a type. You know, gymnastics and just athleticism is definitely one of the main components right now. Are you talking on mute?
Yep, that was me. I apologise. Wendy Chu watched the match from the entrance after it was over. She gave Paxley back a doll, only to attack her while staring down the champion. Paige mocked Nathan Fraser in the trainer's room, noticing Axiom was nowhere to be seen. Later, Fraser found Axiom, who was giving him space. NXT Championship, All Ego from Paige versus Aura Mensah. Mensah fought hard through the best shots of Ethan Page. But Ego's edge outside, followed by a second in ring, put away the challenger. After being Page told everyone he was ready for anyone, whether it be Trick Williams, Pete Dunne, or anybody else. What were your thoughts on this, Monty?
Again, really, really good stuff. Didn't overstay its welcome, but I think Oro definitely put up a fight. You know what I'm saying? It is kind of confusing not having a guy like Ethan in the main event. So at the time, I definitely was like, wow, okay. But this was cool. They didn't work at the crazy pace, but they picked it up. They had the brawling that should come with a feud like this where Ethan Page has been irritated the entire time. And I think even the stuff that Oro did. I mean that move where he runs up the rope and kind of kick Ethan, like that was absolutely insane. And the table spot is just again, I love how it worked out, and they also kind of weaved in the storytelling of Oro's quick victories into the match. But again, Ethan being too much and definitively putting away his challenger kind of makes him kind of get some of that that heat back from taking so many pins from a guy like Oro Mensah. But I think this improved Oro Mensah's standing, in my opinion. Like you look at him now, in my opinion, as somebody who could be a champion in NXT. And then I think Ethan Page looked good getting his feet back and getting back in control as NXT champion.
Yeah, without a doubt. We see Joe Hendry versus Joe Coffey. How NXT crowd sent Hendry's theme way out of tune. During his entrance later, he got him singing Don't Stop Believing. He faced a solid challenge in Joe Coffey, but it was just too crafty for Gallus. After winning, Hendry told Sarah Schreiber that he would be appearing next week on NXT, face anyone who have a problem with that. Tony D told Dempsey he would give him a Heritage Cup match if Sinclair won. Sinclair made Dempsey agree she would join NQQC. Sinclair won with right hand and headlock driver. And then the Don interrupted with Femi's announcement he was defending his title next week. To confirm he was also defending the Heritage Cup. Is that a good idea for Tony D, getting in over Femi's face? I know where it's going, but my God, have you got a death wish?
Yeah, man. I would never tell any. I'll never say it's a good idea to fight that guy. Like I think every time you ask me that, I pretty much reiterate that that's just a guy you don't want beef with. But I do like it, especially with a guy who claims to be the Don of NXT. It would make sense. You know, I think somebody mentioned it when they were talking about why would or Oba be affected by a guy like Tony D, and then somebody was like, well, Tony D took out Tommaso Ciampa, and I'm just like, you know what? Not only are you alone, you obviously enjoy NXT to even remember that, but also it's just like, yeah, that's a great thing to always kind of have as a feather in your cap. So I understand how Tony D could possibly think it's possible, but yeah, man, that's just not somewhere I would go.
No, big mistake, I would say. In an interview, Lee said to reunite with the Rascals was the best moment of his career. Yeah, right. Rich Holland told Andre Chase he'd worked out a deal for him and Chase to fight for the NXT Tag Team titles next week. Hudson and Osborne were not happy about Holland booking himself. And the NXT Tag Team Championships phrase for Axiom versus MSK. MSK fought as hard as possible with complete focus, but Axiom and Nathan were just a little bit better. Wesley fell to a golden ratio, sealing the loss. And again, maybe not as good as the tag match we saw previously, but it's what happened afterwards with Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel tried to console Lee, but he attacked them both, laying them out and screamed, "You left me alone." The night ended with a crowd asking, why, Wes? Why? I mean, what a moment.
Yeah, man. It was people who legit hated this. Oh, man, this is one of those moments that I feel like divided a lot of maybe fans of both. And I think that's really, really cool that you can have something like that not only happen on NXT, but happen in that way. Because if we're being honest, it was expertly done. Because what was we thinking? What were we been talking about for weeks? What have they did? They did a great job of teasing the entire time. Axiom and Frazier was the ones who's supposed to split. They're supposed to lose this match to the established longtime brothers, the Rascals, and we were finally going to get that cathartic split of Frazier and Axiom. But they, like, now Sean expertly crafted a swerve that I don't think none of us would even fathom. And, the thought process behind why and how it happened, the emotion they put into it. Like you said, just what a moment. Like, I honestly, I don't really know. I don't know how you can phrase it other than that. It was an awesome moment. Nice way to just kind of keep people, again, NXT. Shawn Michaels has done a great job with NXT at times that just kind of not hogging the storylines for the week, but doing a good job of making NXT, even if it's just for that Tuesday night going into Wednesday or whatever. NXT is usually a hot topic sometimes because of the moments and because of the things that Sean has been able to implement. And I think this is one of the biggest. Yeah, man, I was beyond shocked. But this is a really good match also. And Fraxium is what I've been, what we calling them. If anybody calls them that, man, just they are we talked about AEW's tag division recently and just other tag divisions. Man, I would put Fraction up against the best tags in the world, like when they're on their game, because like say what you want about them, I don't think they've had an uninteresting tag match ever since they've been together.
No, they are brilliant. And like I said, I've got too many good things to say about Axiom and Fraser. And the way that, especially with Axiom, with a mask, and still can get over in the way he has, But I was one of those that didn't like the Wesley turn, because I just like Wesley's just too much of a baby face, It's the equivalent of like Rey Mysterio turning heel. And again, my only other issue with it, and we're probably going to talk a little bit more, is like Trey Miguel's just kind of been forgotten about.
Yeah.
But you could tell he was emotional before. I mean, I was like, fucking hell, Trey, you really are emotional about this defeat. But again, there was bigger things at play. But again, we've got to watch out for Wesley. That's the plan now, isn't it? And again, to have a shocking moment, to think it's going to be so cut and dry, so to speak.
I love the execution of it, but at the time when I seen it, I didn't really think about where Wesley go after it. It was just how they did it and how coming into that, and even with the whole "I'm gonna give you space," or even with the entire, just how Axiom and Frazier just haven't been on the same accord for a while. I just love how you just do it to the opposite side, to the people who seem like that would never happen because we assume they're so close. But like you said, where we're going after this, the reasoning why, I was hoping that they had thought that through for themselves, but I was just into the moment, if you see what I'm trying to say. But like you said, I saw a lot of people. Some people still hate it. Just I don't like the Rascals breakup. Not just because they don't see Wes as a heel. It's just they just don't like that moment, a team like that moment being done. I saw some people say they don't want it done on NXT, but I'm just like, well, you weren't gonna get Wesley. Like Wesley works for WWE, so what were you expecting? Like maybe he could have done it in Impact, and y'all could have made it work. But I don't know. But I do love the discourse because again, it just it has NXT and Impact for that matter on the tip of people's tongue.
Yeah, and it ends Great American Bash with a kind of moment that everybody's going to be talking about, and that's
explains why Ethan wasn't main eventing, even though he's champ too.
Yeah, well, he's just been buried, so that's
yeah, not one main event so far
against jobbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird.
August 14th, Sarah Schreiber tried to get a word with Wesley, but refused to explain his actions from last week. Instead, All Ego Ethan Page took the microphone to talk about potential challengers such as Trick Williams and Pete Dunne. Joe Hendry interrupted to lay claim to NXT's title shot, but Page dismissed him and walked out. Lee appeared to superkick Hendry. So Wes really hates Impact. That's what I'm getting. He just fucking hates it.
Yes, that's the gimmick so far. The gimmick is, man, I hate him. But he's speaking with so much vitriol towards the outside of the he's been corrupted. I don't know how long he's been in WWE, but they have. He's a sports entertainer. I know that we're not doing the sports entertainer versus wrestler gimmick again, but yeah, man, if you're Impact, he's coming for you. And also, I just feel like that's another way to just continue to mount the heat. What's a great way to guarantee Wesley gets booed out of this building? Besides the fact that I just turned on my brother, I'm gonna keep the most popular guy going right now.
We get custom mics for Paige and Joe, which I just think is quite a nice touch character-wise. NXT General Manager Ava announced the 6 Women No Mercy Gauntlet Eliminator. Find the next challenger for Roxanne Perez. Ren Sinclair, Rizzo, Sol Ruka were chosen at random. Miss Stone and Stevie Turner argued whose idea it was. Get a room. Later, Jada Parker, Kendall Gray, and Petrovich got the final spots. We then got Heritage Cup Tony D versus Charlie Dempsey. Tony D made a statement quickly with Forget About It in round 2 for the first pinfall. After sending the Don shoulder first in the turnbuckle, Dempsey stacked him up with a bridge of his own. Ren Sinclair knocked Tony D off the second rope to set up Dempsey for a bridging butterfly suplex to take the second fall and the win. The Heritage Cup is back home.
I know you were over the moon.
Oh, thank God.
Finally, right? But yeah, man, this was really solid, quite fun actually, and the match started off slow, but they did a lot of grappling, but it really built with time and got better and better. And again, I thought Dempsey overall looked really good, and I think if people did not see a little bit of that potential or do not notice just how good he could be, I think again, matches like this and a actual run with the cup, now since he's keeping Miles Bourne beside him, that could be a great corner man for him. Of course, with Ren too. So I think honestly, it's time to get back to you don't have to book it exactly how Noam Dar was doing it, but I think the Heritage Cup is at its best when it's being utilized, and it was a nice little way to give Tony D'Angelo a feat or something to have without giving him a championship. But I think it'll be better suited in a guy like Charlie Dempsey's position.
Yeah, without doubt. And again, like I said, with Sinclair helping, getting herself involved with the guys. Eddie Thorpe versus Lexis King. I mean, fuck me. I shouldn't moan about the length of the matches because it'll just make it shorter. Lexis King attacked Eddie Thorpe during the entrance, targeting the cast of the hand. He set up a combination for a swift win. And NXT almost immediately shifted to Trick Williams' video package after King's music hit. And they were like, fuck him. Right? Trick promised to figure out Pete Dunne a rematch. Bruce Wade refused to give Trick a rematch because he had not earned it. We went after the NXT title. I mean, yeah, if I'm Lexis King, I'm not paranoid, but do you know what I'm saying? It's not.
Something's going on, man. It's funny. We have to blame him because I've watched Eddie Thorpe have these insane matches with other people. We saw the stuff with Dijak. We've seen the other things that he's been able to do. Yeah, he's kind of in a tough spot too, in my opinion, because you would want to be in a more prominent position. But it just feels like this has to be an indictment on him because it's like everything so far Alexis have done has been short, to the point, really simple, and usually with guys that we don't really view as prominent features or someone who matters at the moment on television with NXT. So yeah, man, like you said, if you're Lex, you just gotta be wondering. I don't know if he's walking around asking what he's doing wrong, but if I'm him, I'm trying to get into the minds of someone and figure out what do I have to do to get something, like anything, like just
he
I don't
knows
know,
he's
but
got
yeah,
Brian Pillman Jr. in his back pocket. So if he has to, become
go
a
away,
loose
do it
cannon,
again,
and
go
exactly,
a little crazy,
like
yeah.
I don't know, do Brooks Jensen, Lola not become shit. Lola Vice beat Tatum Paxley. Afterwards, Vice showed respect to Paxley, while Cho stood over Jordan with the women's North American title. Wesley told Zachary Wentz he was done playing caretaker to his friend. Lee challenged Wentz to a match at No Mercy. He said he would then move on to the NXT Championship. And Monty, sometimes I know about having to cut dead weight and moving on with a new team. Just sometimes it happens. I'm not naming names or anything like that, but
Yeah, I thought you would relate to this angle. Yeah, no, yeah, 100%. And like again, it's definitely a beef with it, but it was kind of cool to kind of just keep it simple. He want to cut those ties to the past. But I do want. The only thing about this, when he explained it, it took me back to what he was gonna do before they showed up. Like, okay, when you were down on yourself and about to leave, and they showed up and pep talked you back in the wrestling, what was your plans before that? Was he gonna go away and then attack whoever the NXT? I think Trick was the champion, or maybe he's gonna attack Trick that night. Something. He's just teasing us anyway. That's the only thing about it. But hey, I don't mind it. Like you mentioned, it's simple and it's fine.
Stop using the show against itself. All right, we've had
my fault. I watched
before,
it. Yeah,
right?
You're right. I gotta act like I don't watch it every week.
Yeah,
good point.
Pete Dunne interrupted to make his own claim for the NXT title. Joe Hendry arrived as well. Brooks Jensen cut promo talking up Sean Spears as a mentor. Idris Enofi and Malik Blade said they need to do something to help Jensen. Yeah, get him released. Plant drugs in his locker or something like that and tell Triple H. That's what needs to be done. Hank and Tank announced they would fight Gallows and Anderson. The family tried to deal with the fallout of Tony D's loss, but Femi took over the camera to hype his title match as he headed to the ring. Like Tony D doing it to Oba, I was like, fuck me. Oba doing it to Tony, I'm like, oh man, you're just a power top. Do you know what I mean? Like you are. I think this is more about me than anything else. Anyway, North American Championship, Oba Femi versus Otis. And I was getting Vader vibes from Otis before I saw his singlet. He was motivated by Dupree and Tozawa at ringside, and Otis needed to him with a worm and a Vader bomb. However, Obafemi kicked out and responded with a huge powerbomb to claim victory. And again, I could just watch Obafemi powerbombing 400-pound men every fucking minute of the day,
Yeah, man. Another just huge, beautiful. If you like house matches, I think anytime Obafemi is fighting someone who's even remotely close to his size is where he's at his best. Not necessarily at his best, but I think they're just really, really entertaining to watch. And because he makes it look so effortless. And then the way when he was slapping Akira and slapping, just knocking him out the air, then you have Maxine's face. I saw it. Maxine was just like, oh my God. Like, yeah, like he's different. And I think it doesn't take long for you to realize. Like, I think his matches usually average around 9 to 10 minutes. And it's not because I don't think he can have a 30-minute. I just think realistically, who was fighting Obafemi for 30 minutes? He has that type of offense,
Yeah, no one's beating him with like 10 seconds to spare in a matchup. Like,
no way.
All or everything. Izzy Dame beat Brinley Reese. Nope, me neither. Shanti Lee Adonis was unhappy with Dion Lennox getting all the ladies while just reading backstage because that's what you do.
An angle.
Monty, the amount of times I just read with my shirt off and my glasses on and just women come up, what are you reading? Oh, it happened at Wembley. Yeah. War and Peace. I don't know if you've heard of it. And then the NXT Tag Team Championship match, Nathan Fraser and Axiom versus Chase U. Fraser and Axiom looked unstoppable, which meant it was going to end bad.
Right.
We go, oh, shit. Ridge Holland refused to quit. The Englishman planted Axiom with Northern Grit to win the NXT Tag Team Championship for Chase U. I can't believe we're going to say it, because I've already said something nice about Brooks Jensen, but fucking Ridge Holland, like, fair play. But what are your thoughts? One of the greatest tag teams who get no credit whatsoever. The run is over, but man, what a run it was.
I was really disappointed from the sense that, like you mentioned, if I just felt like I didn't necessarily want that run to stop, especially without a turn. But at the same time, like you mentioned, when you watch the match and just saw, like you mentioned, the way it went and the way everything worked itself out, and Chase U just being the just like the reaction they get, and just how, like you said, the home team, and just how they feel on NXT television. They feel like such a big deal. I kind of can understand how you can be like, you know what, they're deserving of finally winning one of these situations and winning in this spot. So I get it. I wasn't mad at it. Like I said, the match was good, really good. Of course, Fraxium just on their way out put in another really good performance. But I think, like you mentioned, the one thing I have to say is think about a guy, one of these men in this match literally said he was retiring, and these fans not too long ago were like, good, or just didn't care, like, you go away, basically. And that was the people, that was the guy these people were going crazy for. Like, whether I agree with it or understand the booking of Ridge Holland, or even why he is more of a threat, or whatever he seems to be now, and he's a champion. So it's just very, very funny when you think about the fact that I vividly remember him saying he's going to retire or teasing retirement, and people were pretty much celebrating. Think about that, Jay.
Well, the thing is, again,
Crazy.
Anybody that doesn't say Shawn Michaels isn't Book of the Year is crazy in itself, because to
You're
get
biased
Rich
or
Holland,
something, man.
get Rich Holland and Brooks Jensen, something worthwhile. August 20th, the show started with Easy Dame attacking Petrovic, who could not be cleared for the Gauntlet Eliminator. Ava announced Reese would take the spot instead. Gray celebrated the opportunity with Reese in the locker room, but promised to fight hard later. I don't really care. Fraser and Axiom interrupted the Chase U celebration to challenge Chase and Ridge for an NXT title rematch. Hudson and Osborne instead challenged them to clash there and then to earn the rematch. They are always ready, as they ripped off their trousers like some $10 strippers. But after a competitive contest, Fraser hit Osborne with a suplex into a brainbuster super hit combination with Axiom to win. And it doesn't matter. Axiom and Fraser with any combination of Chase U are just going to put on a banger.
Again, one of the, I don't know, NXT has a great track record with tag teams. Like, we were really enjoying what the Dirty Dogs were doing. We know, we know MSK had a great match. It's just, just a lot. So many, we can go just down the list. But man, I don't know, man. I really hope I don't know if they need to go to the main roster together, but it's just Fraction, man. It just, like I'll say it again. I can put them in the ring with any of your best two tag teams, or whoever you want to say. I don't care who it is, the Bucks, Grizzled Young Vets, whoever you can think of, any promotion around the world. Bishamon, I promise you it'll be a great time.
No doubt. We get Lola Vice and Wendy Chu in an even struggle until Kalani Jordan arrived to get her Women's North American Championship back. Vice accidentally knocked out Lana with a spinning back fist. Referee distracted Chu, blasted Vice for the championship inside a pillowcase to win. I mean, if I had £1 for every, title belt in a pillowcase, Monty, I'd be a fucking millionaire by now, Afterwards, Jordan offered Chu a title match at No Mercy for knocking her down to take back her gold. Henley Jane cut a strong pre-tape promo alongside Jasmine Nix to introduce the Fatal Influence. I mean, I wonder how they got that name. Think the people around the table going, what's the closest thing? That doesn't sound like Toxic Attraction.
Right, I'm about to say, how do you say Toxic Attraction
Toxic,
without
fatal,
saying
fatal, toxic, yes. Attraction?
Attraction. If you're attracted, you're probably influenced by them.
Well, at
Fatal
least it's not the
influence.
Fatal Influence Collective. You know what I mean?
Oh God, yeah. At least
Oh
it's
my
not,
word!
or at least it's not the fatal catch crew.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we
The
used to laugh at
influential
wrestlers'
catch crew.
names, and now it's stables because the amount of just stupid stables that they are. Anyway, number one contender gauntlet eliminator Ren Sinclair and so Ruka opened a match, followed by Adriana Rizzo at 3. Ruka took out Rizzo with a spin out powerbomb for the first elimination. Billy Reese got the full spot, followed by Kendall Gray at 5. At the moment, I'm just making it up. I don't know what they look like. Gray hit a spinning power slam on Reese to eliminate her, leaving Jada Parker as the last woman in. Parker eliminated Gray with a corner hip slam and a standing gourd buster. Ruka took out Sinclair with a soul snatcher. Finally, Parker connected on the hypnotic on Ruka to take the win. I was a little bit surprised because I thought Soul may be a little bit along, but again, it doesn't really matter. Like we said, we are waiting for like the inevitable winter is coming, so to speak. You know, and I don't even watch Game of Thrones.
100%. I think we all know that the bigger or the talent that's on his way is just on another level, just from what we already know they're capable of. And I think that the rest of these girls are gonna have to adjust, catch up, and just get ready. But I am excited though for Jada Parker to kind of show what she can do in a setting in a competitive match against Roxanne, because I feel like at the end of the day, this is a chance for Roxanne to show what she can do, leading a lesser experienced talent, and see if you can get a good match out of her. And it's also a chance to see for Jada Parker to prove that even when Julia or Stephanie or any of the storm of ladies that may be showing up in the future of NXT, that she's going to be someone who will not be just pushed aside and forgotten. And I think that the competition should bring out the best in them. So I can't wait to see how it works out.
Yeah, without a doubt. Hank and Tank beat Gallows and Anderson. Remember when that actually means something? Poor Vic Joseph, though, got his hair mussed up by Hank and Tank. And security looked like they're going to stop Hank and Tank. But long-term storytelling, Monty. They celebrated because obviously, I think it was Hank.
Hank.
It was Hank. Yeah.
It was Hank. Hank was a security guard. Yeah.
Wow.
We watch every weekend. You don't remember.
It's bad, isn't it? It is bad. Oh, boy, Hank. Fight between Sean Spears, Mallet Blade, and Shinoffy broke out backstage, ended with a tag team on top, and Brooks Jensen checking it on Spears. Sinclair interrupted Charlie Dempsey's speech multiple times, saying that Heritage Cup champion would fight anyone. Femi arrived to the shock of no quarter catch crew. The family followed. Tony D sent the rest of his crew after no quarter catch crew while he laid out Obafemi with a spine buster. Sinclair dropped off the Heritage Cup with Javon Evans because why not? And Gallus confronted a young OG who got back up from Cedric. I love the fact that, you know, even with Gallus talking to Javon Evans and, you know, you've just got Mark Coffey going, my name's on there, Joe. You've won fuck all, mate. But again, so many things. The family and no quarter catch should just join at this moment. And Tony D taking down Obafemi. I don't give a fuck. I know we're going to do predictions, but I do not believe. All right? If Tony D does it, that is bollocks.
Yeah, I agree. I like Tony D. I actually think him and Oba might do really good, but yeah, no way, man. Like, I just don't see it. And what I do love about this segment was immediately after Oba music hit, Ren apologized to Charlie, like, okay, I'm sorry, I did not mean, I don't want you to fight him. So yeah, no way though, no way, man. I'm sorry. Again, Don of NXT, whatever you want to call him, whatever he's done, sure, but beating Obafemi, not this guy.
No, without a doubt. And then we get Ashante Lee Adonis beating Dion Lennox.
The sweet chin music's back.
Oh, my word. Well, Lexis King interrupted Lash Legend and Jacoba Jackson, but they weren't interested. And then number one contendership, Pete Dunne versus Wesley versus Joe Hendry. O'Eagle joined on commentary where he got along well with Booker T. Match is all Joe Hendry, who should have been a pinfall. after delivering a standing ovation to Pete Dunne, but all ego, Ethan Page took out the referee. Page then stopped a second official while Hendry hit another standing ovation. The distraction allowed Dunne to hit a bitter end, but Trick Williams caught him with Trick knee. Trick then woke up the original referee to count 3 behind all ego's back. And whilst that was going on, Zachary Wentz jumped Lee from the crowd. Officials could barely break him up. My God, Monty. So, all in all, Joe Hendry is the number 1 contender.
Chaos.
But a lot going on, man.
Yeah, man. That's the name of NXT's game right now, man. A lot of chaos. Just a lot of places to keep your attention span, you know. Shawn Michaels may be accused of having ADHD. Yeah, man, this was again really good triple threat. It was cool to see the 3 most prominent, I guess, contenders go out there and do their thing and kind of try to prove that they deserve to be the next number 1 contender. I thought the match itself was cool. It was fun to watch, but probably the best we got to see Joe. To be honest, I think going into the Ethan Page match, it was kind of cool to see him showcase more that he's been able to so far. But yeah, like you said, just a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things that we kind of predicted. I think you can predict that Wesley would probably not win because of what he just did recently, and even with Pete, like you mentioned, Pete is still chasing Sheamus down. Hendry made the most sense. They did the right thing, and a brawl, nice.
Well, I'll tell you something, Monty. We're doing good for time, and not a lot happened on the go-home show for NXT, so we're just going to cover that quickly because, again, it makes more sense, and we'll thank our future selves. August 27th, then, Fatal Influence beat Metaphor, or I meant to Charlie Cheer Up, Legend
Match
of Jackson.
was not good, by the way.
Yeah, my fuck. Lexus King got involved, leading to Mensa and King coming to blows. Izzy Dame lost to Carmen Petrovic. No one cared. Eddie Thorpe talked with multiple women about his DJ work over the weekend. Now, Monty, did he do this in New Japan? Because I don't remember him talking about his DJ
Not one
work.
time. Not one time was he doing this. If he did, he didn't say anything about it. And another thing I want to mention, you mentioned this too, and you mentioned last week Lexus King just out of nowhere was trying to flirt with Jakira and Lash. I have a theory. When he has nothing for you at the moment, you have to go flirt with somebody. Because NXT has a reputation of being horny. I think that's the only thing. When he has nothing going, you have no focus right now, and we don't have a match to just throw you into. You will be flirted with or be the one flirting. That is what you're obligated to do backstage in NXT. Less parking lot attacks, more flirting.
Yeah, or rather than parking lot attacks, like you said, have like these really nice introductions. Because Sarah Schreiber interviewed Jada Parker, like Roxanne Perez, because she interrupted and sent the interview running. Parker slapped her for talking down to her, but they both indicated someone important was watching them. From maybe behind the camera, they were going, "Hey you, you, I can't say your name, but you're here."
Yeah. I'm gonna stare right at you, looking, scared. That could be anyone.
I tell you what, if they don't debut tonight, again, if it's like another woman's name I can't pronounce, or Brindley Reese,
no,
or
Tegan
like
Knox just shows up.
Oh yeah,
Tegan Knox.
God, remember her? Yeah, she had a network documentary about her. Yeah, you can go listen to that. The D'Angelo family beat No Quarter Catch Crew. Tony D headed to his restaurant. I tell you what, I like the back end of the restaurant, but I don't think there's any more tables. I'm just putting it out there. I just think it was only Oba, and he was there. And again, Tony, just leave him alone. Like, Femi's the same size as the table. Like, just leave it, With security on hand, Wesley told Zach Wentz that he was on a different level. Wentz said he grew up when he lost his opportunity in NXT, dressing up as a Nazi. You guess you would, Both men promised victory. But the thing is, as well, is that, again, I know we're going to do predictions, and I know you kind of catch up, but Zachary Wentz is now the X Division champion.
Yeah.
He won the title at Emergence. So now, why would he care? Is this for the X Division title? Like, what's going on? Like,
because if you put the title on the line, now Wesley hating Impact How do you go? Right, I thought you didn't care about the impact, and you're a WWE guy. You don't care about that belt. So yeah, it's really really weird the timing of it, and also the context of what happened to Zach is very funny when you think back to the comment that Wesley said when he turned about you left me. It was like, dude, you think Zach was chose? You think Zach wanted to leave, especially how he left? They just think we forgot everything, huh?
That's crazy. Kalani Jordan demanded Wendy Chu reveal her opponent before Chu appeared on the Titantron to send out TNA's Rosemary. Now there was a good opponent. The women's North American champ connected the corkscrew moonsault to survive the Demon's assassin. Afterwards, he really went dark and Cho's laugh echoed as he choked out Jordan to stand tall. To be fair, I would have had Wendy Cho in this match here and Rosemary at No Mercy, but again, NXT booking, like wrestling should be worried about Malik Blade. Not only is Idris Sanofi not with him in this NXT, but he got squashed by Brooks Jensen. It's worrying times. I'm not gonna lie.
Is it Lexus King worrying time?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's.
Is it worse than Lexus?
Maybe it's Bronco Nima and Lucien Price.
OTM
they're backstage.
Yeah,
they want Hank and Tank in a big matchup. Fraser and Axon confronted Chase U, promising to ruin the celebration at No Mercy. Joe Coffey versus Javon Evans. The most surprising thing here was the fact that what has happened with Javon Evans. Like, we were talking on Nxtupdate as like next in line, and now he's losing to Joe fucking Coffey. I know Gallus was there to help, but my God, he doesn't need this, does he?
I don't think so. But I think honestly, I think we did this to Javon Evans. Not because, and the only reason why I say that is because maybe we were going way too fast, at least from a perspective point of view, even though it just felt like he was in position. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to rush him, but like from our perspective, he felt like championship material already. But again, I think like we mentioned, over Femi, you don't want none of that right now. You know what I'm saying? And then even with the world title picture, we can all see him doing that, but do you see them booking him ahead of Ethan Page? So I think he's kind of in that spot right now where it's kind of like it's funny. He got there a lot faster than Thea Hale, but it feels like what we said about Thea Hale almost, if you see what I'm saying. Even though Thea Hale, I think could definitely be the championship that Kalani has right now if they wanted to go that route. But I think the matches will be better or just as good. So, but yeah, man, we'll just have to be patient. But yeah, I'm with you. It definitely is weird when you think about the momentum that he kind of had right off the bat.
Yeah, I doubt. And then finally, All Ego. Oh, sorry, we had Joe Hendry with his concert with a song for Ethan Page. All Ego interrupted to ruin the fun, but NXT General Manager Ava responded by bringing out Trick Williams as a special guest referee for No Mercy. Page walked into a sound ovation and Trick counted to 3. The show ended with Pete Dunne warning Trick that he would not make it to their match next week. But again, the bigger story is Trick as referee for Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because I was excited, but then Trick is ref. I'm going, I don't know.
Yeah, man, I'm really I'm in the same vein as you because I'm just kind of like, where do you kind of go from that point of view? If you're going to do that, if you're going to put him in that spot, it has potential though. I'm not saying I don't get the appeal and I don't understand why they're doing it, but it's just one of those situations where it's like, yeah, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily know.
Somebody watched SummerSlam and really enjoyed the booking.
Yeah, and it feels very, it's kind of like in that same vein of what we were saying about Seth Rollins. It's like, you're not necessarily needed here, but it also kind of in that same, in a different vein from it, to me, it automatically kind of puts me on and we'll talk about it in predictions, but Trick being there kind of did something to me from that perspective. But again, I don't mind him getting the shot, but it definitely felt like, okay, we need Trick Williams on this show. He one of our biggest stars. He doesn't have anything active going on. Even though, I mean, in my opinion, if he wanted to, he could have had like a stipulation match with Pete or something. But I guess Pete is busy, so you know what I'm saying. But yeah, man. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm not mad at it, but it's just again, I'm with you. Where it's like, okay, I don't know if I like that, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, we are up to date with NXT, so before we do predictions, we just ask, what are your thoughts on the build-up to No Mercy and Great American Bash?
I mean, I'm really excited. I think what I love the most doesn't really have much to do with these shows in particular, but even like I mentioned earlier, with Great American Bash, the narrative out after it, the way people were talking about NXT and ilk of just being some of the best television to watch, I love that because again, not only have we come a long way from the 2.0 type of narrative, but I just think some people are starting to pay attention that no, Shawn Michaels is really doing some really good stuff, even with amongst some of the mess that me and you have kind of talked about already. And then when you think about going into No Mercy, the hype I've seen going into that on the internet and just how everyone seems to be excited, and then the Impact relationship with NXT still being relatively fresh. I still think they got things that they can still go further, in my opinion, with doing, but I don't know if they will or if they are. And then just having Joe Hendry in a main event type situation, then the possible debut of one of the next flag bearers or main focuses of the women's division, in my opinion, going forward. Whoever that may be, whether it's Stephanie Vauquer or Julia or Delta or any of the other type of characters that we could possibly see, maybe even all three. Just a faction of invading women just coming to just kill poor Roxanne, baby. But no, again, that just shows you the hype, though. The fact that I'm theorizing to that extent just shows you where I think where we at. We're in a healthy state, in my opinion, of NXT overall. Even though I think me and you both have mentioned things in this particular review that it's certain characters, certain people that we're worried about. Because I think overall, the women's division is the main focus. They have the most bodies. They have multiple divisions now, and they have even a tag team division that doesn't really have a belt, but they have people who are pretty much joining up, making female factions. Like, it just seems so healthy in that regard as far as the women's division goes, even to the point to where you may not know some of these women names, but that's just how much we get. Then we go to the men's division, and it just kind of feels both the North American and the world title picture just doesn't really seem as active or as full. And then we have these characters like we mentioned, Dante Chen, Lexis King, even Sean Spears, and just guys who are just there and don't feel like they're anywhere remotely close to feeling like they should be in a championship picture. And that's just kind of weird to me, if you see what I'm saying, that the male division just feels. You remember what we talked about when Melo was on top of the North, or Wes Lee was on top of the North American division? How excited just how exciting those divisions felt. And then when Dragunov was champion, and just how deep it felt like it was, the pool of possible contenders. And it just doesn't feel that way to me in the men's division. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I completely agree. But that is one of the reasons for my predictions. But I think you're right when it comes to like over Femi, there's a kind of do not cross line.
Yeah, stay away from
it. We talked about this with WWE. The problem with dominant champions is that you'll need challenges that A, you care about, and B, are legitimate threats. And I think at the moment we're seeing that there isn't any. But again, we're going to talk about it. We're going to get on predictions. So No Mercy, of course, in a couple hours' time. And we'll start off with Wesley versus Zachary Wentz because, again, arguably the most personal match on this card. I'm sure these two guys will deliver an absolute banger as well. Whether it will be more, kind of high-flying, snazzy stuff or just kind of getting down to business, I think both will have a point to prove as well. Especially Zachary Wentz, who's making his first, PLE appearance for, like we said, 3 or 4 years now. But Wesley always brings it in these occasions. I think, though, even though Wentz is X-Division champion, I think Lee would be the way to go. I don't know what your thoughts about the match are and your prediction.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I just, even before, I did think about it when you mentioned winning Ultimate X and becoming champion, I did kind of think for a second that, oh, okay, nice. Maybe that would maybe that changes things slightly, But then again, when you think about the story they're trying to tell in NXT with Wesley and just, the whole situation with where these two guys just are in our minds when it comes to NXT, I don't necessarily see it going any other way than Wesley winning and finally cutting ties. And it'll be kind of cool. Maybe what if we got like do we get a Trey Miguel sighting, or do we just act like he's out of sight, out of mind?
Yeah, I think they've just forgotten about
That's
him.
that's the interesting thing. It's like, can you see Trey Miguel coming out and helping, or do Trey Miguel making his appearance felt at the end, and then we get a Wesley Trey Miguel match in the future or something? I don't know. Or maybe we're just gonna just, like you said, forget about him and just act like the Rascals are only two people right now. But yeah, man, it'll be good though, like you said. Go ahead.
I think Trey turning on Zachary and being like, "You were always there for the last 4 years. You've been there. I never wanted you." Do you know what I mean, or something like that, just to kind of
like, you're the problem, Zach. Stay away from
me. I should say Jaxie has gone for Wentz in this matchup.
Okay.
So, Gene obviously got more sense than that. NXT North American Championship low, Obafemi versus Tony D. And again, it could be Tony D's moment, Monty.
Could be. It could be, man. I don't know. I think you're gonna have to make it really convincing for me, in my opinion, though. I don't really know what you can do. That's the thing. When I try to think of a guy, when you're in a situation you have like you said, a dominant champion, it's not, you just gotta kind of theorize like what makes sense. Because most likely a guy like Obafemi, if he loses, he's probably gonna be protected in this situation. I'm just trying to think, what way can you protect him and do it? And I think right now with Tony D just kind of seeming like he's going to do it on his own, even with help. And then the thing is, even if you had Stacks or some help, I think can overcome them both. So, like, they're booking him so strong, in my opinion. Like I've mentioned in the past, book him to the moon. I want a Keith Lee moment for Obafemi. I want him North American and NXT champion by the end, maybe by Stand and Deliver. But I don't know. That's just my thought process. Maybe they don't want to go that way. But in my opinion, he's just that much he just feels that much more of a threat than anyone else on the roster.
Yeah. And Tony D is wrestling more now. I mean, I think he wrestled 2 or 3 times on this update. So, I mean, Stacks, no. He's next, but Tony D, yeah, all right. I think I agree with you. I mean, I'm not going to go against Obafemi,
Yeah, me. I learned my lesson.
Yeah, I was going to but we've all gone over, so I don't think it's any surprise there. NXT Championship match: Chase U versus Nathan Fraser and Axiom. Again, head versus heart, because I'm thinking if Fraser and Axiom don't win this, then that could be pretty much it. Like, I don't know what else is there. I love Chase U. One of the things I didn't mention on NXT previous week, Ridge Holland saying, "I will do anything for Chase U whilst I'm NXT Tag Champion." Do you hear that, everybody? So as soon as he loses, Chase U are fucked.
That's a really good point. Really good point.
We'll get to that point. Like I said, but Fraser and Axiom, it's been a hell of a run. But yeah. I just Chase U win the titles. But again, are we surprised he didn't wait until the PLE to make that title change, or did we need it on that episode of NXT?
I'm very surprised you just don't wait if this is where we're gonna go. But maybe you do it here so we can get a bigger moment for No Mercy. You do something else here, and that's kind of like where I'm leaning. Maybe all that tension that we were talking about that seems to be kind of forgotten right now comes to a head when they fail to recapture. But Sean has done this also before, where he's passed a belt around just to kind of screw with me. So he's kind of messed up the way I look at things. So like I'm actually entertaining them winning it back, even if it don't make a huge amount even if it's kind of frustrating, like, you know what I mean, because we already seen them losing. So I don't know, man. It's tough, but I think you gave Ridge Holland that moment. I think you should just stick with them as champs right now, and I'm gonna just go against myself and just say that even though it is the predictable thought process, I think Fraction loses. They're one of the best teams in the world. A turn, and we're probably gonna get like a best of 5 or best of 7 series, or a bunch of just crazy one-on-one matches. Maybe that's just where I want to go with it next. But in my opinion, I don't know what else Fraction can do, because when I think about Fraction winning back, I wonder, okay, where else? Where do we go from there then with them as champs? And I just feel like they've run their course. Meanwhile, Chase U has at least a little bit of some more drama, more things they can get into.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, like I said, with Fraser and Axiom, fantasy booking, a hair versus mask, match, and then get the mask
right.
off. He's still going to make Axiom, you know what I mean? Or Axiom Kid.
Still call him Axiom. Yeah, whatever you want to call him. Right.
Get off that. NXT Women's North American Championship match, Kalani Jordan versus Wendy Chu. I'm going to go for a 1-2 punch in both the women's matches, I feel. But again, Wendy Chu has got a great opportunity because they have been booking her quite well since her return as this kind of more demonic character.
Yeah, I like it. It's kind of blending, kind of like who she was, when she was with Zia Lee back in the day, and then also kind of being still that sleepy character, but making it more of a night terror type of gimmick. And I was into it. I like you said, what they've been doing so far. But it's just hard for me to feel like it's just really hard for me to see Sean getting it off Kalani so fast. Even though I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like, honestly, when did you won this match? If this was the turn that Sean puts here that we probably don't see coming, it wouldn't really shock me. I've actually entertained that, but I think I've kind of come back around to saying that Kalani is probably going to return.
Yeah, I think Kalani retains, and like I said, the first one would be probably Stephanie Vecchia appearing and confronting Kalani Jordan, and then we get the big moment there. And then obviously the NXT Women's Championship max, I'd have Julia there. But then again, maybe too many. You know what I mean? Too many surprise appearances. They might wait. But again, Roxanne Perez and Jada Parker, very similar to, the talent involved elsewhere on the card. But again, Roxanne, we've talked about this, is levels. And a bit like Lola Vice, no doubt this is going to be Jada Parker's kind of biggest performance of her career. But we are just waiting for Julia or whoever it is to confront Roxanne and give us money,
Yeah, we've been theorizing it for a long time when it's going to happen. I've been seeing a whole bunch of people just can't wait for this moment, and I think we're going to get that moment. I'm assuming Julia, but even if it's Stephanie, I don't think anybody would be opposed to it. And I'm with you. I think Roxanne definitely retains here. She stands tall, and at the end, she gets she gets a stare down or something, maybe even an attack from one of the new signings. And I think Jada will do good. I love her character work. I love the way she just seems to be oozing confidence, and like the way she speaks and all that. She has that element down. All she needs down, in my opinion, is repetition in the ring, moments like this, and possibly, in my opinion, I'm not really maybe I don't know if I'm not. Do you care about her finisher as much? Like, I've seen a lot of discourse around it. It's not the best. Maybe eventually she'll have to change it, but at the end of the day, it's fine, I guess.
With finishers, I mean, the people's elbow and a leg drop.
Right. It's about who's doing it.
You know
what I mean?
Yeah, it's
not really the move.
It's not all that. But again, it'd be interesting times because, again, we are shaping and changing the landscape of NXT as we're doing predictions in our own mind. Because, like I said, these moves into the women's division is going to shape it in the foreseeable future.
Definitely.
And again, this is why I'm talking about it. The NXT Championship match, Ethan Page versus Joe Hendry. And I mentioned it earlier, alluded to the fact that there aren't a lot of top-tier talent in NXT to go after a championship, like we talk about with LaMelo, Ilya, and the Trick days. Trick definitely is going to be, the face of the company going forward. But chase mode is always normally better. Ethan Page has shown he is a great heel champion. But again, it's just something about Joe Hendry, and it's like, are they really going to cut the legs out, not only of Jordan Grace, because I know it was different circumstances, but from Joe Hendry as well. And what's weird about this, Monty, is Joe Hendry lost at Emergence, teaming with the Hardys. So again, I'm just like, what are they fucking doing? Like,
it's really confusing because if I'm Impact, the reaction he's getting on the internet and the reaction he gets in NXT, he's going towards the top of my card, and just, in my opinion. I've been hearing this. I don't know. I want to ask what you think, and because I don't watch every week, but I have been reading that this is a possibility of playing into anything. Do you see a Josh Alexander coming to cost Hendry? Is that one of the possibilities, or is that just what people are theorizing or hoping for? Is that dream booking, or is that a possibility legitimate?
There is a chance, but again, there's probably more chance of fucking Eddie Edwards showing up with being by Elegance thing. Don't get me started on Eddie Edwards. But again, Josh Alexander in, and again, you've got that connection with Ethan Page, obviously being the North in Impact. The connection with the tag team.
Yeah,
so
they
could do that, but you are not going to steer me off this. And I know I've been wrong, but I've got to take my shot. And we believe, goddammit, all right? And I reckon there is nothing to cement this relationship because, again, Trick can always win it back, in a couple of months' time or whatever they want to do. And just give Joe the belt. Or
Impact guy can get jealous and cost him. You can easily get it off, Joe.
Like, if you want the connection to truly work and give it a big kind of fuck you to everybody else that said it's not, Joe Hendry walking out as NXT champion, and it's Ethan Page. And again, we've talked about Page, but he's a guy that perceivably could be beat. He's not going to be like a top-tier talent in WWE. Would that be fair to say? It's not like a Obafemi or even a Trick that way, So,
I mean, I put him in that Miz ilk, but I think he's good. I think some people hate on the Miz, but the reason why Miz works is because he's believable to be beaten, but he can also win any match he's in. Like, the Miz is the Miz, and I think that's kind of like what Ethan Page gives me vibes of. And some people think that's a diss, but I actually love what the Miz has done with his career. I think a lot of people would kill for where the Miz is. So. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't think Ethan loses anything really from losing this match, but I cannot go as far as giving Joe this victory only because I was on the opposite end with Jordan, and I thought the perfect way to solidify Jordan and to make this, I literally made that same argument pro Jordan Grace, and you were there to kind of straighten me out and try to tell me, I'm sorry, but I doubt it. And I'm here to say the exact same thing to you. As much as I agree, and trust me, I'm just like you. I want this to work out. I want Ziggler to pop back up in NXT as Impact champion, or call himself Nick, and we just gotta act like he's not Dolph Ziggler. Like that's how much I want this to work out. So I'm with you, man. But I want Moose. I want everybody that represents the Impact brand to start showing up in WWE in some way, shape, or form. More Jordan Grace matches. I would love for this to work out. But it's just, again, after trying, I gave him a shot earlier to do it. I just don't know. I'm with you, though. I think it'd be a great way to get a lot of the people who've been saying that Impact has been getting the short end of the stick, get them off their back. And it makes sense from a just popularity standards. He's one of those guys that regular people who, like you mentioned your coworker, but I've had other people that I didn't even know who keep up with wrestling just starting to look at me and clap out of nowhere because they know I like wrestling. It's just like, you believe, right? You know what I mean? So he's really getting over in so many ways, and he's doing it very uniquely and it's creative. So I would love for Joe to get it, but I'm gonna play it safe. And if I'm wrong, I'll happily celebrate with you. And but I'm gonna play it safe, man, and say Ethan finds a way. Maybe I'll just go off the limb and instead of predicting TNA, predicting the Joe Hendry victory. I'll go ahead and just say what the internet has been saying, and Josh Alexander will pop up, and they'll explain that these guys used to be partners.
But this is the thing, and this is why I love doing the NXT updates and doing the pods with you, because, like I said, I was trying to talk you out of a couple months ago of that same decision, and I'm going to do it. Like, I don't care. I'm going Joe Hendry. Like, it's just what you do, And again, I couldn't live with myself if Hendry was to win and I hadn't gone for him. So, again,
That's true. That's a good point.
And the Trick as ref, fast count, Paige blames Trick.
Yeah.
Trick can finish that feud with Dunn, and then we'll do with Paige. And then at that point, Hendry is there, and I'm not sure how they would do that. But again, I'm not going to talk myself out of it. I'm going to go Joe Hendry, and that's it. We believe. That is it. So, Monty, anything else with NXT? I think pretty much we've covered everything as we head to No Mercy. Maybe what are your expectations for tonight would be the final thing.
My expectations are a really good show. They've really been impressing me with their live events as of late. Not even Great American Bash was really cool, but like the PLE style events they've been doing all around the country, and have really been top notch wrestling, top notch stuff. They seem to really been putting their best foot forward in these shows. And I think every match, in my opinion, was going to deliver for different reasons. And I'm really looking forward to see, like you mentioned, like even with you kind of got me hype about the possibility, because even though I don't necessarily think he'll win, if something like that happens, not only will you get the debut of someone that could change the landscape of the women's division, we can get an unlimited amount of possibilities if we have a TNA person win the NXT title and be able to, possibly use that on Impact, possibly lead to more crossover and get some of the women's division. Like, who, you never know. Like you mentioned, like you can get another appearance from a Jordan Grace. We can have a Slamovich versus Julia match at some point, or just get all Tasha types Steels, of just real cool. Yes, there's just so many more possibilities that we haven't even really seen yet, and I'm just excited. I think tonight they're going to put on a really good show, and no matter what happens, I think we'll be talking positively about NXT going into the week.
Yeah, without a doubt. So that is it. Don't forget, across all social media, I'm at Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod James or something like that. You'll find me. Just put in WNR and it comes up. You can find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Monty, where can people find us and you?
At my Monty Pod. I will be there on that. I'm soon. I don't want to announce a date because everything in my life flips as soon as I say I'm going to do something on a date. But I will be uploading a Twitch link because I'm looking into ways to either start watching some of these shows live on Twitch, or maybe even doing my own gaming stuff in the near future. So I will be letting you guys know once I have everything set up and everything de-kidified, because I have a toddler. So you know what that means for tech. That could be anything. We have a toddler. But yeah, I will let you guys know. But the only way you'll be able to keep up with that is if you follow me at MindMontyPod on Twitter.
Perfect. Jump on also on Facebook and Instagram, across all Google platforms. Send us to the WNR Podcast. Jim.com, YouTube. The WNR Podcast, where we latest clips and podcasts go at the same time on YouTube. We do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes. You can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode will be the Bash in Berlin. I'm not sure when the girls can do it, but I'm sure we'll sort that out. And the plan is as well, because of course we've got All Out in a couple of weeks. We're going to do No Mercy in 3 weeks' time at this moment in time. And then in 5 weeks, I think, or the start of October, we will catch up with the G1 Climax. And at the moment, I'm on the quarterfinals, and I'm surprised I've caught up this much. So fair play. There's been a lot of wrestling, So much
wrestling. But and we have so much more to come, because within the next 5 weeks or so, Bad Blood happened. So or like we're how the train never stops, man.
No, it keeps going. Like I said, Friday night was Emergence, Saturday was Bash at Berlin, Sunday, obviously today with No Mercy, and that's not including AEW shows, so I think there's a chance next week I could watch 4 pay-per-views over like a 7-day period. So we'll see what happens. I cannot wait. But again, till then, I'll be Jay Phones, was joined by the mind of Monty. Now, Monty, I know you're on toddler watch and everything else going in your life. I just appreciate you spending a couple hours with me talking about NXT and our baby.
No problem, man. It's always fun. Always fun. No Mercy night. I can't wait to see what happens.
I can't wait to be disappointed waking up in the morning. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.